Are you living the life you always wanted? Have you accomplished all your dreams and goals? Is your life today where you thought it would be 10 years ago? If the answer to any of these questions is no, then today's video is for you. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, My Extraordinary Ordinary. My name is Danielle, and in today's Motivational Monday video, I'm very excited to talk to you about how you can harness the power of self-discipline. Today, as we talk about the power of self-discipline, I'll share 5 key things that you can do to help you become more disciplined so you can accomplish all your dreams and goals and live the life you always wanted. Have you ever had the experience where you've either driven to work or driven home from work, and by the time you either got to work or you got home, you didn't even remember how you got there? I think we all can safely say we've had that experience at some point. Some of us can even say that our days pass like that, and even our weeks or months can pass like that, where we feel like we're in that movie Groundhog Day, where every single day repeats over and over and over.
I'm reliving the same day over and over.
At first, he was a little anxious.
And every single day is the same thing, day after day, one day after another. It's so easy, if we're not careful, to fall into a rut where we accept mediocrity as the standard of our life, and we have no clearly defined goals, nothing that we really want to achieve, nothing that we're working towards.
Drinks on me for this side of the room.
Starting to feel like everyone's lives are going places and mine's sort of stuck.
Before we know it, our life is over. Let me tell you something, the most valuable commodity that we all have is the commodity of our time. We can always make more money once our money is gone, but once time is gone, it's gone for good, and we can never get that back. It really is what you do with the time you have that matters, and people that have developed self-discipline understand this. They understand the value of their time, they understand how to make time work for them, and they can live a life that they've always dreamed of instead of living a life filled with regret as they look back and realize that they never did anything that they really wanted to do. The first key to developing self-discipline is to have clear written goals. Do you know how many people don't even know what they want out of life? If you ask them what their goals are, they have no idea. They couldn't even tell you. Just like a pilot has to have a flight plan so he knows exactly where he's going and exactly how he's going to get there, you need to have clearly written goals so you know exactly what you want out of life so you can develop the discipline to help you get there. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this first point because I've done a lot of videos on goals. I will put those in the description box for you, and I will link them above in case you want to go back and watch those videos on goals. But the one thing I will say is that it's very important for your goals to be clear. You really need to know exactly what it is you want. So now that you have clearly defined goals, the second key thing you need to do to develop more self-discipline is find your why. This is so important because this will drive you, this will motivate you, this will give meaning and depth to your goals and what you're doing. And let me illustrate what I mean by this. I've worked as a personal trainer for over 15 years now, and sometimes when I sit down with someone and I ask them what their health and fitness goals are, they'll give me pretty standard answers. I want to lose weight. I want to have more energy. I want to be healthier. And then I ask them, why is that important to you? Sometimes I hear, my significant other wants me to lose weight, or I just know it's important to be healthy, or sometimes I'll even hear, my doctor told me I have to do this. But in our discussion during the consultation, when they give me answers like that, when I ask them why these goals are important to them, I know that I have to help them understand why they want to do it for themselves. Because if you're trying to do something to please somebody else and it's not really why you want to do it, you will not be motivated enough to develop the self-discipline to go and do it. You might do it for a little while, but because your reason for wanting to lose weight or get healthier is because someone else is telling you they want you to do it, it's not your why. It doesn't develop within you a passion or a grit that will drive you to really accomplish that thing that you want to do. It won't motivate you to develop the self-discipline necessary to keep you going in the long term. Your goals have to be your goals for you, and you have to find a compelling enough reason why they're important to you. Simply put, when you find your why and you figure out why your goal is important to you personally, it will help you overcome fear, beat procrastination, embrace change, and it will give you the motivation that you need to become self-disciplined. Now, I want to take a minute here and talk about the difference between motivation and self-discipline, because a lot of times people mistakenly use them interchangeably and they're not the same thing. I liken it to when I was a camp counselor in college. When I was a camp counselor in college, I learned how to start a campfire, and it was something I didn't know before. What you have to do is gather a whole bunch of small sticks and some kindling, sometimes some paper and other things. You put them all really close together and you start the fire using that. Now, while it's nearly impossible to start a fire without kindling, kindling alone will not keep a fire going long term. For that, you need some larger pieces of wood to really sustain the fire, keep it hot, and keep it burning over a long period of time. And motivation and self-discipline are kind of like that. Motivation is like the kindling in a campfire. It will get you going, it will fan the flame, it will start the process, but it cannot sustain you and keep you going so that you actually accomplish your goal and do what you set out to do. The only thing that can do that is self-discipline. The problem with motivation is that it can be very fleeting. It comes and goes at different times, and a lot of times it can be dictated by our circumstances or our feelings. Years ago, I was involved with a direct sales company, and I went to a big convention, and there were thousands and thousands of people there, and we heard from all sorts of different motivational speakers over the course of like 3 days, and everybody was so pumped up and so motivated. But why then, in an arena filled with thousands and thousands of people who are all incredibly motivated and excited, were there less than 2% of those people that were millionaires? The reason is that a lot of people mistakenly think that all they need to accomplish their dreams and goals is motivation, and that's simply not true, because it's fleeting, it comes and goes, and it doesn't sustain you when you have challenges along the way or the going gets rough to keep going. So once you're motivated to accomplish a dream or goal, self-discipline is the action you take to actually reach that dream or goal. You can be super excited about saving money, but if you're not actively making it a habit that every single time you get paid, you take some money out of your paycheck and you set it aside to put in a savings account, you're not actually going to accomplish your goal. You're not actually going to save money. Even though you're motivated, even though you might be excited about it, self-discipline is the action you take to accomplish your goal. So that's the difference between motivation and self-discipline. Now, there are times in your life when motivation will be really high. Maybe you'll see something or read something that really motivates you to get going. At those times, really take advantage of that and ride the wave and use self-discipline to kick yourself into high gear. But sometimes when your motivation is low or maybe things aren't going the way you want, if you are self-disciplined enough, you will still carry out the actions that you need to do to accomplish your goals. And that's why successful people succeed, because they understand the power of self-discipline and they make it work for them, and they understand that no matter how they feel, whether they're motivated or not, they carry out the actions that they need to do to accomplish their goals because they've learned the secret and the power of becoming self-disciplined. And that leads me into my next key point. Use your motivation to help you build routines that will help you create habits that will naturally help you become more self-disciplined. If you really want to become more self-disciplined, you need to make it as easy on yourself as you possibly can. And one of the easiest ways to develop self-discipline is by creating routines that help you develop habits that help you fall right into the actions you want to take to be more self-disciplined. I talked a lot about this in my goals video. Again, I will link that below and above if you want to watch that if you haven't yet. But this is a powerful step in helping you develop self-discipline, because especially if you have a goal that you know is going to be hard for you to accomplish or that's going to require change, when you establish a routine, it becomes easier and easier and easier to do that thing that you're dreading doing, or do that thing that's hard for you to do at first, and it really helps you develop the discipline so that before you know it, you're taking the steps to accomplish your goal, and it's just something that you fall into every single day, every single week, every single month. Before you know it, you'll accomplish your goal because you've used the power of routines to help you establish self-discipline. Let's say that you have a goal that you'd like to lose 10 pounds in the next 2 months. And let's say in this example that I'm your trainer. And by the way, if you want me to be your trainer, I certainly can. All you have to do is let me know that, and I can make that goal a reality for you. But anyway, I digress. So let's say I'm your trainer. You've told me that you want to lose 10 pounds in the next 2 months, and we're training once a week for an hour. And I've told you, okay, in order to make your goal a reality, you really need to make it a priority to get into the gym 2 more times on your own every week. So I'd like you to be working out 3 times a week, once with me and twice on your own. So you know that's the goal. We've set the parameters, but now it's up to you to accomplish that goal. It's up to you to make those other 2 times a week happen on your own. So let's just say on Tuesday some co-workers invite you out after work and you think, I'll just go out for a little bit, but in reality you end up staying a lot later than you thought, and you end up drinking a lot more alcohol than you thought. So when your alarm goes off on Wednesday morning and you wake up, you're super tired because you stayed out a lot later than you intended last night, and nothing's ready for you to go to the gym. You don't know where your gym shoes are, you don't have your gym bag packed, and you think, you know what, I'm too tired, forget it, I'm just going to scrap it, I'm not going to go today. And if you're not careful, this pattern of behavior can lead you back into old habits that can keep you from accomplishing your dreams and your goals. Being prepared is the antidote to procrastination, and self-discipline is the antidote to laziness. And when you practice self-discipline, you don't allow the thief of laziness to steal your dreams and your goals. Now let's be realistic, we all know there will be times when we will get derailed for one reason or another. One thing I can say is that if this happens to you, the best thing to do is not to think too much about it, but just begin again. Just start your routines over, just begin again, resolve to have self-discipline and move forward. Don't spend a lot of time thinking about how you failed or you didn't do what you set out to do. Just continue to move forward, because it will happen to all of us. Things happen. I'll give you an example. I've talked about the fact that I plan to share a video every single day. When it's not a long form video like this, it will be a verse of the day, and I've been really consistent. I'm really proud of that. I've been really disciplined in doing that, but there are some things that happen that are outside of my control that have prevented me from doing that. The first thing that happened a couple weeks ago is that I got really sick. I could not talk. I was coughing a lot. I really didn't feel well at all. I could barely get out of bed. Obviously, that's a case where I won't be keeping my word to myself and keeping my commitment, because I can't. That was a case where I had something happen outside of my control. I got sick and I couldn't share videos for a few days. Another example was I went on a brief getaway with my husband for a couple nights recently, and I didn't share a video for like 2 days because I was with my husband and I wanted to be in the moment, and I had thought that I would have enough time prior to that to work ahead and get some videos done, but in reality I just didn't have the time. And it wasn't because I was wasting my time or being frivolous. Some other things came up and I didn't have the time. And sometimes you have to prioritize things, but you always have to remember why you're doing certain things and the motivation and purpose behind it. And you always have to remember to prioritize and put things in your life in the proper place. And my family and my husband will always be prioritized over videos on YouTube or social media or anything else I do, because they are the most important people in my life, and they just simply do take priority, and I believe that that is a right priority and what's right for me. So in this case, my time with my husband was my priority. I did my best to work ahead, but it just didn't work out, and that was fine. And another recent case where I missed sharing a video last week was that I thought I had more time in the day to get my video done. We were going to go to church on a Wednesday night, but as it turns out, we went to an earlier service that night because my older son got off work earlier than we expected, and I was in the middle of editing that video, and I wasn't able to get that done, and we didn't get home from church till later that night. And by the time I got home, I was tired. I had to work the next morning, and I made the decision just to skip the video for that day. And I made that decision because in that moment my children wanted to go to the earlier church service, and I instinctively knew that that would be a better service for me to go to as well, because I wouldn't be as tired. And it was the best decision for our family in that moment, and so I went with that decision and did what was best for our whole family. And again, I was at church, and then after church I was eating dinner and visiting with some of my friends at church, and that was important to me. It's important when you have goals and you're developing discipline that you also have balance in your life so that you don't burn out, because if you become overly disciplined and you don't have enough balance in your life where you're getting enough sleep, enough social time, you will burn out, and then it will be hard for you to develop enough discipline to accomplish your goal. Like I said, don't become so rigid and legalistic in your self-discipline that you can't recognize when you need to deviate from your routine a little bit because life happens, or because you have a circumstance that happens to you that's beyond your control, like getting sick. Sometimes there will be things that you're doing that you'll prioritize over other things. For example, last week Friday, I did not go to my early morning exercise class because I knew I still still had a lot of editing to do on the video that I wanted to share with you guys last Friday. So because that was a more important priority to me than attending my exercise class, I actually stayed home from class and worked on my video. So sometimes those things will happen as well. You'll have different things going on in your life, and you might prioritize one routine over another just because something you're doing takes priority over something else that you want to get done. And this leads me into my fourth key point. Self-disciplined people practice delayed gratification. They don't trade what they want right now for what they really want in the long term. And when a person is truly self-disciplined, they're able to delay gratification of what they want right now for what they really want in the long term. And personally, when I face challenges or I find it hard to keep going, for example, when I'm not losing weight as fast as I think I should or I want to, but I'm exercising almost every day and I'm really watching my diet, or if I post a video on YouTube that I really like, that I think is really good, but it doesn't get a lot of views or doesn't get any comments or very few likes, it can be discouraging. But when this happens to me, I think of this Danielleism that I just say to myself over and over. And yes, it's a phrase that I just made up for this phrase about self-discipline that I coined. Maybe someone else said it, but I haven't heard it anywhere else. But I think it really sums up what it means to be self-disciplined, and it's very simple to remember. And when you get discouraged and when you find it hard to keep going, just keep repeating this to yourself, and I think you'll find that it will motivate you and remind you why self-discipline is so important. So here it is. Disciplined people do what other people don't, which is why disciplined people get what other people won't. And one of the key principles that disciplined people practice is delayed gratification. They do not settle for immediate comfort or what feels good now. They press on towards their long-term goals, and they endure discomfort, and they say no to a lot of things that they might want to do in the moment, because they know in the long term that having that self-discipline and that ability to delay gratification or say no to things that other people would do in the moment will really allow them to accomplish their goals in the long term, and eventually they'll be able to live the life that they've always wanted and they've always dreamed of. Self-disciplined people have the ability to see the big picture, not just the small dot in front of them, and they have the ability to envision the life that they always wanted, which keeps them disciplined and keeps them working towards the moment and makes it easier for them to delay their gratification and say no to things that they might want now. I love what Dave Ramsey always says. He's a financial guru that helps people get out of debt, if you don't know who he is. But he always tells people that call him and they have a lot of debt, you need to live like no one else so later you can live like no one else. And what he means when he says that is when someone has a lot of debt and they're trying to get out of debt, in order to make that happen, they're going to have to do uncomfortable things that other people won't understand. Maybe they're going to have to drastically cut their grocery budget. Maybe they're going to have to stop eating out. Maybe they're going to have to cancel streaming services or cable or not take a vacation that year. But they're going to do things that will be uncomfortable that other people might scoff at or think are ridiculous. They're not going to understand it, but they're doing it and they're living like no one else lives right now and delaying gratification so that later they can live a debt-free life and live like no one else, because now they have no debt and they've accomplished their goal of being debt-free. So in this journey of becoming self-disciplined, when you practice delayed gratification, sometimes people in your life don't understand what you're doing, and they may not even support what you're doing. They may think it's ridiculous. They want you to just do everything that they're doing. They want you to take that vacation with them. They want you to go out to dinner with them. Maybe they want you to socialize and stay out late, but it'll mean that you can't get up to go to the gym the next morning. You're going to have to learn to say no and practice delayed gratification, even when it means that other people may scoff at you, may make fun of you, may not understand what it is you're trying to accomplish. But that's okay, because you're holding tight to your dreams and your goals, and by now you've become so self-disciplined that you've set up routines that have turned into habits that help you become more self-disciplined along the way. And part of that is delaying your gratification and saying no to other things so you can really have what you want in the long term. And that's what will set you apart from the masses, because like I said, self-disciplined people do what other people don't, and that's why self-disciplined people have what other people won't. Now there's one fifth and final key to becoming more self-disciplined and achieving your dreams and goals and living the life you've always wanted, and that is simply this: just do it. Nike had it right when they picked their slogan: when you've done these 4 other steps, there's nothing left to do but punch fear in the face, push procrastination to the side, and just take action and do it. It's important to remember that becoming a more disciplined person is not about what you're going to get at the end when you've accomplished your dreams and your goals, but it's really about who you're going to become in the journey along the way. And that is a key reason why developing self-discipline is so important. Developing self-discipline can obviously help us get the things we want out of life, become more successful, make more money, get promotions at work, get healthier, do all sorts of things we aspire to, and accomplish the goals that we set. But in addition, there are a lot of other benefits that are intangibles that self-disciplined people reap. They become more confident in themselves every day. When they end their day, they know that they kept their word to themselves. When you become a more self-disciplined person, you learn how to value you. You learn how important you are, and you learn that your word has value, and the person that you value the most, that's most important to you to keep your word to, becomes yourself. And that is really invaluable because that will help you grow in confidence. And when you're a more confident person, then you're ready and able to tackle things that you wouldn't be ready and able to tackle before. You're able to try new things, you're more adventurous, and you're also ready and able to take on challenges or tasks or things that people ask of you that maybe in the past you would have said no, or I can't do that. Someone that is self-disciplined has learned how to take the words I can't and turn them into I will. And one of the most valuable things for me personally about developing self-discipline in my life is the character traits that I've developed along the way that have shaped my identity. My word to myself is important because I value myself. I want to take care of my body. I want to take care of myself. I want to feel good. And I want to be a person of my word. And that's something for me that's meant more to me than anything else in my journey of developing self-discipline, because now I feel like I'm a person that I'm proud of. I'm proud of myself, and I've learned to keep my word not only to others but also to myself, because I've learned that my word to myself is just as valuable as the word that I give to others. And so that's something for me that's really impacted me on my journey of developing self-discipline. I'm really excited to see you accomplish all your dreams and goals. I know you can do it. Just follow the 5 key principles that I laid out in this video, because you've learned the value of keeping your word to yourself as you've harnessed the power of self-discipline in your life. If you love health and fitness videos as well as videos that are motivational and devotional in nature, then I'd love it if you'd hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't already. And remember to hit the bell button so you're notified every time I share a new video. So with that, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for spending some of your precious time with me today. I look forward to seeing you in my next video. And remember to make your everyday ordinary life extraordinary.